I'm about 5 years old, and my dad takes me to the cinema to see a movie about cute little gnomes going on an adventure, and it's supposed to be a fun, a magical experience. But within 15 minutes, we're standing outside, with me completely and utterly overwhelmed. I'm fully in panic mode, and no matter what my dad is saying to me to comfort me, I was not going back in. The noise, so loud, so intense, I felt so scared. In this space with only the screen and the sounds and the people around me, it was just too much to handle. And looking back, this is my first memory of being a highly sensitive person. Of course, at the time, I had no words for it. I had just felt like something was wrong with me. And welcome to Business I Haven't a Clue podcast. If you're new here, welcome to the family. Hi, I'm Cornelia, entrepreneur, highly sensitive person. And I once thought I was too sensitive, but today I know better. We're going to talk about that. Because if you're like me and you're too sensitive, you heard the words, you're too sensitive, you wonder, why can't I just stay longer at this party? Why can't I just deal with feedback? And when people say to you, you're just too sensitive. Well, this episode, I'm going to share with you that there's nothing wrong with you. You're just highly sensitive. That is normal. And for me, it took like 20 years to figure out that I wasn't crazy, that I was just wired differently, that there's actually a name for this, and that it's genetic. Can't do anything about it in that case. And it's time to embrace this. So what is highly sensitivity? Well, highly sensitivity is just you're a person with a more sensitive nervous system. So your nervous system is wired differently than from 80% of the people around you. About 20% of the people on this planet are highly sensitive. And there's truly a gap. There's a gap between the super sensitive people and the less sensitive people. And then in the super sensitive category, there's absolutely a scale between extremely sensitive and a little bit less sensitive, but your system is wired differently. This means you process information that comes into your system, the stuff you see, you smell, you eat, you hear, you feel. It is all more intense. I know highly sensitive people who can't really drink more than 1 cup of coffee because they're just like bouncing around the place with way too much caffeine in their system and they can't really concentrate and focus anymore. I know highly sensitive people who have to walk out of the room when someone is baking bacon. Smell too strong, feels like she has to vomit. She's like, I'm not gonna be here. For me, I can definitely not deal with bright lights. So early in the morning, usually when it's dark and you turn on the lights and it's super bright, I cannot open my eyes for a minute or two before I'm actually adjusted to this. It simply means that you process a couple of things stronger. The external stimuli like noises, lights, sounds, smells, tastes, but also your inner feelings, they're also more sensitive. And it means you also pick up on subtleties that other people miss. In other words, we're like human sponges absorbing the emotions, the energies, the details of the world around us, which is actually super great if you know how to deal with this. And before you think, hey, this is something that is wrong with me, it's not. This is actually something, if you look at other species, horses, for instance, they have super sensitive horses as well. In dogs, that's, I think, the same thing. So in actually a lot of species, there's this small group, like 20% of the population, that is more sensitive than the rest. It's actually really good to have someone in your tribe that's like, I smell fire. This is not a good thing. We have to get out of here. That is the thing. We notice that kind of stuff way earlier than the people around you. One other detail, about 70% of highly sensitive people is also introverted. And introversion means that you recharge by being alone and think before you speak. I have a whole course for becoming visible as introvert entrepreneur, but actually that is the same thing for highly sensitive people. And it's the same kind of steps. I see it. I deal with this being highly sensitive and introvert in the exact same way. I do the exact same things to make sure that I manage myself. And for so long, I really thought my sensitivity was something I had to work against. I thought maybe if I'm just gonna like watch all the movies, maybe I can just take it without getting paranoid afterwards. Maybe when I just try and look at the light, maybe it will become less painful. But actually it didn't. And after 20 years, I discovered there's a name for this. People had mentioned to me before that they thought I was highly sensitive, and I was like, no, that's not me, blah blah blah. Until I thought, well, maybe this is me. Maybe I have to look into this. And I did a test online. It's just like a simple checklist to see if I am highly sensitive, and I scored quite high. So yes, that was the answer. I'm highly sensitive. I started listening to podcasts about this. I started reading books on this topic to actually embrace who I am, that it isn't something that you have to work against, that it's actually something that's your biggest strength. I changed the way I work, the way I live my life, and the way that I show up. Well, I didn't even have a business before I found this out. So the things that I changed, and I think the most important part is that, for instance, I love working remotely. I don't have to force myself into an office space with bright lights, distracting conversations around me. Like when you have like this colleague, or I don't know, you're in a co-working space and it's not even your colleague, but you're sitting there, you're working there, maybe it's in a cafe and people right next to you are talking. It's like the exact same volume that you cannot do anything else than follow their conversation instead of working on your own work. And that always left me so drained. This is why I love working remotely. My environment is mine, my office space where I'm recording this podcast. It is just my office space. There's no one here except for me. And I love it because in this office space, I can actually focus on building web pages, on creating courses, on making online content, on thinking about business strategy that I'm gonna use. I love working in a quiet space that is just me. Fun thing, I also love doing live trainings. I actually thrive in spaces where I choose the level of interaction. You can imagine that maybe for you that's not the case, but when you choose the interaction that you have with the people around you, you can prefer like one-on-one conversations, and you can prefer one to like group conversations. With friends, I like the one-on-ones. In my business, however, I don't often do one-on-one conversations. I don't coach one-on-one with this specific reason that drains my energy too much. If I work one-to-many, I still have the feeling that I'm in charge, I'm in control, I'm leading this group of people, I'm leading this ship somewhere. And I love that. And it actually energizes me, but I cannot do this every single day. I teach a lot of trainings on personal branding, on communication, how to improve your communications in your team, how to make a connection with the people around you, how to empty your inbox, how to get in control of your email stuff. I teach all these trainings, but I usually teach like one a week, preferably in the afternoon, because I think if I would do this like full time, I could do it like every other day, or I could do 2 days and then I need like 2 days off to make sure that I don't get overwhelmed, that I don't tire myself, because I can leave energized, but it's still costing me some sort of energy. I love doing trainings. I have built my business exactly how I like it. I don't do rigid work hours. I don't do unnecessary meetings. I love selling online courses like Shina's Introverted Boss, where I help introvert and highly sensitive people to become more confident in spotlight in a way that actually works for the way you are, highly sensitive, introvert, and all. You can step in the spotlight, and I actually love that. I love being in the spotlight, but I only like it because it's on my terms. I decide when I record a podcast. I decide when I show up on Instagram. I decide when I just run ads, because I don't feel like showing up on Instagram that often. And all the things that don't work for me, I've eliminated them like for 75%. I don't think it's possible to eliminate for 100%. You also have to make sure you train yourself a little bit to make sure that you can actually deal with all these kind of senses and sensory input around you. But, no office environments in my life. No bright fluorescent lights giving me headaches at the end of the day. No overwhelming background noise when I have like background noise here because they're building some new houses right around the corner. I make sure I'm gonna work somewhere else. I love it. I'm thriving as this highly sensitive business owner, and I really think you can too. I really hope you can too. And I can imagine the struggles that you're facing, because I had so many struggles. Let me just name a few, because you might recognize yourself pushing yourself to be like someone else and just didn't work. Maybe you have this as well when you walk into an office space for, like, I don't know, a meeting up with a client. Before anyone even says a word, you're just opening the door and stepping inside. You can feel the tension, the stress levels, the unspoken frustration, or you can feel the happiness, the excitement that is there. Like, instantly, you know how people feel here. And that is really nice when it's the happy excitement stuff. It is not so nice when there's like frustration and stuff. And you can't just ignore it, because if they're feeling it, you're feeling it immediately, intensely. I also have this at home when my dear sweet partner, Bart, is not feeling so great. I have to work so hard to have a good day, to make sure that I do not absorb his emotions like they're mine. And maybe you feel so responsible for helping your client that you actually go like 10 times beyond what you're supposed to do, what you promised to do. And maybe you struggle with seeing violence, watching violence on the news, on movies. I certainly do. I like only watch romantic comedies. Other movies, it's just, even if it's too shameful, I'm like, this is not for me. Also, dealing with feedback. I'm not sure if you've heard that before, but when I get feedback, it doesn't really matter who is saying it, how they're saying it. I immediately feel like super small, not good enough. And picking up on this intensely on criticism is, that is definitely part of being highly sensitive, and it can be such a struggle. The moment that I knew, hey, this has actually a name, I'm a highly sensitive person, I realized I need to do something else. I need to make sure that I'm gonna take care of me, to make sure that I'm actually gonna thrive in an environment where I can thrive. And this is actually a big part of why I became an entrepreneur. Because I can actually set the scene for me. I realized I used to work in a way that works very well for me when I was in university. I could just plan my days almost entirely. I was deeply engaged with what I loved. And at the time, it still is. I'm still very enthusiastic about this. I know I still deeply care about this topic, sustainability and earth sciences. And I had the freedom to structure my days in a way that actually worked for me. That I could show up when I wanted to, how I wanted to, work when I felt like it. It was such a time with so much freedom in my life that during this time, I don't think that highly sensitivity was actually something that worked against me. That came later. That came when I started a job and had to work in office spaces and people were constantly disturbing me. That was where it went wrong. And the moment I realized it had a name, I decided, well, then being a business owner, a freelancer, however I'm going to do it, I'm going to work for me because that is going to help me. For me, that meant I'm building a business in the online space. And obviously, I still combine it with teaching live trainings every single week. I just choose to do the things that I love. And for me, that is creating online courses, that is creating podcasts, that is showing up and teaching teams, teaching businesses to communicate better, to be more productive, to have their own personal brand within the business. So people actually know who are you and what are you doing. I love this. And you can do that too. You can design your business around your energy. How would a day in your business look like if you did what actually works for you? For me, that means I don't connect with people before 10 a.m. I need slow, quiet mornings. I need to be able to be creative. And it comes so much more easily when I haven't met anyone, when I haven't talked to anyone, when I haven't communicated with anyone. I just work for me and my business. I also stack social interactions at the end of the day. There are days when I don't do social interactions, but when I do, I try to stack them from the afternoon, starting with, can you meet me at 4? Can you meet me? And then when the 4 a.m. meeting is full, we're going to go back to 3. We're going to go back to, and then we build like backwards. And occasionally it happens that I have a whole day of meetings and I will be like truly, completely done over it at the end of the day. But I know it's worth it because the day afterwards, I don't have any appointments. It's easy to show up. It is easy to restore what I did the day before. Whereas if I would meet people throughout the day, I cannot go back to my creative mode. I can't deeply focus on tasks that I have. So I'm planning backwards. But what can you do to build, to design your workday in a way that actually works for you, that creates the right environment to work in? How can you set yourself up for success, knowing that this is who you are? One of the strengths of being a highly sensitive person is that you have like an intense drive to do good in this world. You probably have a mission, even if you don't have words for it. You have a drive to make this world a better place. My mission is to empower women to make an impact with their business and earn their own money. And for me, my mission is important. That helps me to show up, that helps me to go above and beyond. And your mission matters too, because you're probably deeply connected to the work that you do, and that's a gift. That means you go beyond for your clients. That means you actually make a difference in this world. And I think that if you give yourself the gift of doing work that is in line with this mission, building a business that is in line with this mission, then you really fuel yourself to show up energetically every single day. If you feel like, hey, but it's too scary to step into the spotlight with this business mission, I do have a webinar that teaches you the principles of being visible as an introvert. And as we discussed, the same things matter for being a highly sensitive person. To attract clients in a way that actually fits your personality, the link to sign up will be in the show notes. To me, being visible is a very important way to share my mission in this world. And if that's the case for you, join the webinar. And another thing that we're very, very good at as introverts, as highly sensitive people, is you have a superpower that most people ignore, your intuition. And my intuition kept telling me the same thing. build the business you dream of, if I really tune in with me, myself, and my belly, build the business you dream of. And it felt so impossible at start. But I never gave up. I listened. Okay, this is the path that I need to be on. I'm going to be on this path. I'm going to make sure I'm building this business. I had to learn a lot about business. I started a business in horsemanship first before I changed to the current focus, because this aligns way more with who I am and what I want to contribute in this world. But what is your intuition telling you? What is your intuition saying to you? What is it that you need to work towards to? Is that building a business? Is that maybe switching your business? Is that you're on the right path? This is what you need to do. This is your job in this life. But trust the voice. Trust the voice that lets you hear. And let's redefine success, because this world tells us that it's about earning so much money, scaling fast, working nonstop. But for me, business success isn't about the money. It is about building a life that makes me feel good, that supports me in my life in the way that I want to live my life. Like, I don't want to work 40 hours a week. I want to work like maybe 20 hours a week, and I want to have time for my horse, and I want to have time to work in the garden, do some sports, meet up with friends. That is what I want. For me, that is my version of success. So ask yourself, what does success really mean to you? It's not what society says, but what does truly feel good in your body, your mind, your heart, so that you can wake up feeling excited about your work, not dreading it, that you actually can enjoy everything that's there. Because for me, being a highly sensitive person, knowing that I'm a highly sensitive person, it actually changed everything. And if this inspired you, I would really appreciate it if you help me support more businesswomen and share this episode with one of your business friends who might be highly sensitive too, maybe doesn't even know it yet. Thank you so much for listening, and talk to you soon.